Okay, here's another one. Back at it again in Latale. I believe this grind was from 213. I want to say till 219. I think literally like one to maybe two quests auto jumped me to 219. I could be extremely wrong about that. My quality is still very, very low. You're probably asking, where am I right now? Because you can't see where I am because the video is cut because I don't know how to edit. Give me a second. I'm going to change that. All right, as you can see, I'm in a city hall staircase. Where is that? I cannot remember. See, this is what I mean. I need a map. I need a map of the entire Latale, like, just setup of the world and how, like, clear instructions on how to get from point A to point B. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that stumps me. And maybe if I just play through normal quests and story, I'll definitely understand it. Like I said in the other video, I actually have played through story up until I want to say maybe level 80 or 100. Don't quote me on that because I can't entirely remember, and that was an older version of Latale, so I don't know what all exactly has been changing, but I've been hearing about burning characters and thought, hey, you know, I'll take part in it. I'll jump in on a trend. So as you can see, this wasn't like super hard for me. This boss, he knocks me up sometimes. Pause. And other than him, I clear the runes fairly easily. So free money, you know what I'm saying? Free levels. That's a lie. No levels. So I actually ended up running down here. Where is here? One second. Here is the Devil's Mountain, Devil Canyon. This was one of Toma's quests for the burning missions. I had to beat like these big giants. I had to do it like 2 different times, and it said something about making something to give myself a buff, but when I crafted it, none of it ever actually worked. It just flat out disappeared and stole my money with it, so that was really cool. But I ended up killing these guys 2 times in a row and turning the mission in. Of course, I had another mission down here, which originally I could not find a Devil's Canyon because I couldn't teleport to it. Through sheer fierce wheel, I was able to get to it. But down here, this dungeon is hell. I think I did it on normal. I literally just skipped it. I wasn't paying attention. I believe I did it on normal. Pretty much everything was fairly average to defeat. Some took a little longer than others, but the one that took like the longest was that giant blue dragon with like a snake tail, the Chimera. Yeah, that freak show took forever. And there's like 14 of them total. So I'm just going around clearing the entire dungeon, and these things alone are taking at least a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. Probably not that long, but much longer than everything else, you know? So that should have been my wake-up call to put it on easy, but at the time I wasn't like too knowledgeable about how everything worked, and to an extent I'm still not, but at least after going through this torment, I have a better understanding of how everything's supposed to go now. At least a little bit, in the slightest amount, right? So here's a little fun fact, little fun tip. So the Chimeras, yeah, they took a little while to kill because I'm not strong. But I get to the boss, and I've never fought the boss before, alright? I've never seen the boss before. This is my first time in this entire dungeon as a whole. I hadn't seen any videos around this. This dungeon almost broke me as a man. Forget as a man, as a gamer. It almost broke me as a gamer. As somebody who is just on games, I'm not on it as constantly as I used to be. When I had a lot more free time, I was on games way more often than I am now. But as somebody who is just running and grinding and farming and raiding, this dungeon really took it out of me. In fact, after I finished it, I got off the game. I was like, yeah, that's enough for one day. I could not keep doing this. I want to say this entire recording was probably about 4 or 5 hours. And obviously from this alone, you can see why. Those Chimeras were crazy. I should have been playing on easy, but I was also trying to get EXP. In a lot of these recordings, you can see that I have a double EXP running. Sometimes I do it completely by accident, but like one of my newest recordings, I have like a 1000 EXP pot for 2 hours, and I accidentally clicked it because it was in my event tab and not my consume tab, and I hit it because I was looking around to try to see if there was anything that I could use to get me out of the hell that I'm at right now, which is, believe it or not, even more of a wall than what this is. But hey, at least I was able to cross over this wall. You know, I need to figure out how to progress in the game, and I believe it's simply just through quests. But that was a chest to get loot. Took me about the same amount of time it would have took me to fight a Chimera. Look at me fighting this Chimera. You're watching this in like 2, if not like maybe 3 times speed, alright? I'm over here giving my all to this Chimera, trying to beat this thing. I'm in a maze. Every dungeon is like a maze, and you got to figure out how to navigate around it, and there's no like mini map to see exactly where you are and see where all the floors are, so you're kind of just touching and going and feeling around and trying to make sense of everything. And you actually have to clear X amount of enemies per room in order to unlock a new room. But at the time I just wanted to 100% dungeons, so instead of running in and saving time, because I thought, you know, the extra EXP could help me level up just a bit more, I stayed behind and like full cleared. Plus I think it works towards several reputations, or at the very least one of them, that one being Monster Hunter. So I stuck behind and was really just running through things. And like I said, I had Ellie, I had the money, right? I had 32 million. And I ended up spending 10 on crafting because of Lamar's video. And then I basically just dumped the rest into trying to make some potions for this thing, for the Toma quest, that it turns out I didn't even really need. So that was fun. I ended up using some of my alts that I had money on from way back when I was playing this updated version of the game, and just transferred it over to my main. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. But the Chimeras, these were a little easier to me. I don't know why. These two just felt easier than any of the other Chimeras throughout the entire experience of me going through this personal hell. And this little jumping puzzle, even though I had done it like 2 or 3 times before, had really just stumped me. Actually, let me see if this is the hard one. So I actually have to run this twice, right? I believe this was the first one. Yeah, this was the first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the first one. I had no idea what this was. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew was every now and then this boss would heal, even when I damaged them and there was nothing I could do. I thought if I stood on the little sword angels on the ground, they'd give me extra damage to actually hurt the boss, and the boss was actually invulnerable this whole time, and I was only doing damage because of the sword angels, right? I thought the little mini snowflake flowers healed the boss so I could destroy the snowflake flowers, but I couldn't damage them, right? Whenever the boss would knock me up, whether it's through his like ground slam, whatever, or the tornadoes or whatever other attack he had, I'd get launched up at the top. Whenever I was at the top, it was pretty much a guaranteed heal for him, which just made me even more upset because he would summon a bunch of enemies up the top that like I'd have to fight for my life against. And at one point I had gotten so frustrated, right? Because I had finally gotten to like 48 health. Then he gets it right back to like 50, 48, 46. One of them, it was like the smallest amount of health I had ever gotten him to, right? And he basically just heals full health. And you can see for a moment that I stop and I'm just like, just let them kill me. Like I'm done. I'll play this on easy. I'll give it another shot. But I decide to just, you know, keep running the gauntlet. And through trial and error of fighting this man for what had to have been easily 40 minutes, in the middle of fighting, I would pull up a YouTube video on my phone, several YouTube videos, watching what people would do to try to understand how to beat this. Because nobody had a written, well, a voice tutorial explaining it. There was probably some typed out guide somewhere, but mind you, I'm in the middle of fighting this thing. I've never fought it before. I don't know what's going on, and I'm trying to make sense of everything, right? So I'm just on my phone while occasionally fighting it. And what I see people do at one point is they sit in a corner because they're trying to look. You see, I'm like still. Yeah, this is me giving up. I was waiting for them to spawn in, kill me, and I run it on easy. Fun little fact, they don't spawn in unless you break them. So I'm essentially sitting here forever. So I watched the videos on YouTube, and people are in the corners. And I'm like, why are people in the corners? So I'm thinking, oh, it's probably not to get boosted off to that thing. So you can see my kind of like meta is to sit in the corners. At one point, I was dodging the flowers, thinking that those flowers are what healed him, but I don't believe that to be the case. To this day, I still don't exactly know what all his flashy stuff on screen does. But after watching some more videos and spending what had to have been about 60 pots, if not more, on this one room alone, I found a little way around it. My own little like dodging technique to success. So he like spits ice at you and it damages you. Yeah, sure, whatever. You can dodge it if you want, like dashing or just running past it or whatever. You can dodge it. But the really bigger issues are the things that knock you up, like the tornadoes. If you're in the edge of the screen, rarely ever can he get a tornado to actually land on the edge of the screen, depending on where he's standing. And sometimes he will purposely push himself out to the edge so that the tornado can try to hit you. So you can try to move to knock him off balance. Another thing is when you're in the corner, he pushes you to try to knock you back out of the corner, because if you're out of the corner, he can knock you up into the middle. So finding that little balance is what keeps you from being knocked up. He has this move where he summons a spirit bomb and he throws it onto the ground. If you jump and basically dodge the spirit bomb, so if the spirit bomb is supposed to be aimed at you, because when he summons it, he's already got a predestined location. If you jump and it doesn't touch you, you don't get launched. That's not always a guarantee, but from what I was experiencing, for the most part, it worked. He's got another move where I don't think it's the spirit bomb, but it's something like it. He has a charge up where he's about to hit the ground. It's like he's summoning a bunch of like snow and ice, like a blizzard around him. That's like a definite launch up. I thought that if I ran to the edge, I could dodge it, but it has a pretty long reach and it knocked me in the middle anyway. If I'm standing in the middle of him, sometimes I dodge it, sometimes I don't. When you get thrown to the top, in order to get out of the top, you have to kill those two statues. You don't have to kill all the enemies at the top. You just have to kill the statues, because the statues keep you from jumping. It's a debuff, and it shows you right above your health bar when the debuff hits. So eventually my little pattern was going into a corner, whether it's the left or right or switching, doing X amount of moves in that corner, dashing to the left whenever I saw my title underneath my character moving, and then rinse and repeating until I finally beat him. There were several times where I was verbally upset at this. You could actually hear me pissed. But I did it. GG. Eat my balls.